Hey rockers, welcome back to Cherry Rock Creations. I'm Ann, and today we're diving into the sweet world of DIY dessert-inspired wax melts. If you're a candle, wax melt, or soap enthusiast, or if you just love getting your hands dirty with some creative DIY, you're in the right place. Today we're going to answer a very important question. Can you make whipped wax frosting from Parasoy wax? I've looked at lots of info on this, but I wanted to give it a shot for myself. So stick around and I'll show you the results, the good, the bad, and the ugly. First things first, we're going to gather our tools. I had a little bit of trouble with this. I kept remembering stuff that you would need and trying to add it in. So I'm going to have a full list in the description, but we're going to need molds. We're going to need a piping tip. We're going to need a whisk or beaters, piping bag. You're going to need a glass bowl. You want to use glass or metal so that you can heat your wax down and reheat it if you need to. You want a silicone spatula, preferably one that does not come apart. It's all one piece. And of course, we're going to need the most important ingredient, our Parasoy wax. We also want a pour pitcher or a pour pot, some wooden skewers or something you can use to mix the fragrance into the wax. Candle dye. Mine's liquid. I think you can get like candle dye chips. I've not tried those. Those are from Aztec right there. You're going to need a digital thermometer. You're going to need your fragrance. That came from Aztec as well. I highly recommend them. Paper towels because, well, y'all know how I am. I'm going to need them because I'm horrible messy. But you always want that on hand. You're going to need a heat gun. That comes in handy when you're trying to do your cleanup. Trust me, I know. You're going to need a digital scale. You're going to need plastic pipettes. See, I kept forgetting stuff. And those come in so handy. They're little silicone like cupcake molds, but you can use that to mix just a little bit of wax to color for your decorations at the end. That's my little pour pot. That's what I use to get the wax out of my Presto pot there. And yes, it is messy, but it does the job. You just pour your wax in there and melt it, or you can melt it directly in your pouring pitcher over like a double boiler if you want. Now your wax, when you add your fragrance oil, it's going to depend, the temperature you add that in is going to depend on your specific wax. So you need to follow your manufacturer's instructions. And then this wax dye, it's awesome. It only takes 1 or 2 drops and it's very powerful. They are so messy though. I had a horrible accident. Well, I mean, that's no shock to anybody, but the end of it was a little clogged up and I didn't know. And when I squeezed on it, it also wasn't really screwed on tight. And I had candle dye go everywhere. It was terrible. So just be aware if you use these. And once you mix in your color, what I like to do is just kind of take it and dip it onto a paper towel or even a paper plate like in the background. That way you can see what color it's going to be. And that was kind of a purpley color, which is not what I was going for. This was a blueberry cobbler scent, and I wanted a kind of like a brownish color, like that. So once you get the color you want, go ahead and check your temperature again because that will, believe it or not, that little bit will cool it down. Mine's still just a hair too high for when I like to add the fragrance. For mine, I think I'm supposed to add it around like 160 or 165. So that's what I try to do. Yep, 164.9. So you're going to add in your fragrance oil. Again, it's going to be what your wax recommends. And you want to be pretty precise with this. So that's why you want to go ahead and make sure that you're doing this on your scale so you get the right amount in there. And once you pour that in, you are going to have to stir that for 2 minutes straight. Just keep stirring. You want to get that fragrance oil fully incorporated. And I was trying to be all precise, and for some reason when I was doing this, I completely lost all ability to weigh correctly. but it is what it is. They're pretty close. They're pretty close, but I like to use that pan right there because they come out just like perfect little muffins. It doesn't take them long to dry or to cool, and they're not really hard to get out. You can pop them in the freezer if you need to, but don't leave them in there too long. And that mold or that pan I actually got from Dollar General, and this was my first time using it. It did really, really good. And I did put it in the freezer. Just a little tip, don't leave it in there too long. I put mine in there and forgot about it, and my donuts broke. So don't do that. Don't do what I did. Also, you can take a little bit of like cooking spray and spray it onto a paper towel and just lightly wipe a new mold like that, and it'll help your wax melts to come out a little easier. So I didn't want to waste my time. I wanted to make something I knew I could make, which was the donuts, along with my experiment for making the wax melt frosting. And I wanted to make little blue gumdrops to go on top. So that mold there, I think it came from Wholesale Supplies Plus. It's really for melt and pour soap, but I wanted to use it for these, and it worked just fine for that. And when you have your wax in those little silicone molds there, even if it cools and it hardens, you can just pop it in the microwave and melt it and continue on with whatever you're doing. So it's pretty cool. Now for these particular embeds, I did not have any fragrance in them. That's unscented wax there. But you can absolutely put your fragrance in these too. It's just you'll have to weigh it out, make sure that you are using the correct amount. But you can do that. It doesn't affect it at all. I did that with some. The base was a vanilla eggnog and the little ball was cranberry. This right here is one of my favorite things to do. It's so satisfying when you try to put it on those donuts like frosting. I don't know. There's something about it. It's just fun. But I thought it was cute. For blueberry cobbler, I thought it was cute. Okay, so here we go. We're going to attempt to make the wax frosting. Here's the test. I waited a little too long to start whipping the wax, and then I whipped it just a tad too long. It piped beautifully at first, but it went downhill pretty quick. Whipping it was surprisingly easy, and the results were awesome, but we'll have to fiddle with the temperature and the whipping time to get it just right. But you want to basically whip it until it looks like mashed potatoes or kind of like frosting. You can see the consistency there. And again, I just whipped it just a little bit too long. It cooled off a little too much, so it was really hardening up quicker than it should have. But for those of you who have piped like actual frosting or even whipped body butter, which is lots of fun too, you do it the same way. You're just going to stick that all down in a cup, and you're going to fill up your piping bag with it. You do want to move quickly. As you can see, I'm poking along, so do not do what I did. Do the exact opposite. Move quicker. Move quickly. Don't poke around. But beautiful. That looks just like frosting. It's gorgeous. I was very surprised at how easy it was to do. Now, here we go. It is cooling off way quicker, and it goes from being all pretty to it doesn't really look like frosting. Now it resembles bird poop, and that's not the look I was going for. If you're trying for bird poop, then let it cool off a lot. But if you're not, then you be quick about it. But one thing I found is once this hardened, I could actually pull those off of there and try it again. So I was very happy to find out I could do that. Otherwise, I was probably going to just sit down and cry, but I even got the balls out of it, so it was fine. Ta-da! Isn't that pretty? I was very happy because with what I had found and researched, you're supposed to use just like straight soy, I guess, and I've never used that kind of wax. That's ugly. I want to show you the difference. One's pretty, one's ugly. And I thought the donuts even turned out cute. So I have a couple of final touches and maybe some tips for you guys, because I want to make sure that your crafting journey is smooth and enjoyable. So get ready to impress with your newfound skills. The sky's the limit when it comes to decorating these. I use the embeds, those little ball embeds. I also had some little snowflakes and just some assorted little ones. I'll show you some pictures. So I used embeds. I drizzled wax on the finished muffins. It come out adorable. Of course, I drizzled it on the donuts. I used glitter on my sugar plum melts. The little muffins, I've used little snowflakes on top of those and used glitter on that. I used red and green sprinkles for my sugar cookie and cream cheese frosting melts. I topped the gingerbread muffins with the cutest little gingerbread boys and girls you ever saw. So the sky's the limit. You can actually paint on these with mica. I did a video on wax melts 5 different ways, and one of them was painting on mica. And I want you to know, I went back and looked at that. That footage was so blurry, I couldn't use it. It was horrible. So I want to do another one to show you what you can do with painting mica on. It's awesome. Cleaning up, all you need, honestly, is a heat gun, some paper towels, and your surfaces covered. Yes, this is in memory of my heat gun, which I killed during the making of this video. So, moment of silence for that. Luckily, I had another one. It's an old dinosaur from like the 70s. It's probably older than I am. How old are you, Ann? Shh, not telling you. But you just melt the wax off there and then kind of wipe it with a paper towel, and you are good to go. And there you have it. Yes, you can absolutely whip up some fantastic dessert-inspired wax melts using Parasoy wax. I hope you enjoyed this creative journey as much as I did. Are you interested in seeing how I package these? Comment heck yeah if you are. And now it's your turn. Put on your creative baker's hat and give these a shot. Let me know how it goes. If you found this video helpful or enjoyable, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And hey, if you're into suds, scents, and rock and roll, then subscribe to Cherry Rock Creations for more exciting DIY content. Now here's your question. What's your favorite Christmas scent for wax melts? I've shared my pick in the comments below, and I'd love to hear yours. Rock on!